Hey, Archie, we had Ben Bulgrien from Korhorn Financial Group talking about Medicare last week. It was a great episode, but we just ran out of time. So we've got him coming back again this week. I think it's going to be another great episode.
It sure is. We've got a lot more questions on part A, B, C, D, all the different plans, A through N, everything. So this is going to be a good episode. I'm Archie Hoxton.
And I'm Rob Hoxton.
And this is Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. Welcome back to the Last Paycheck Podcast, brought to you by Hoxton Planning and Management. We're your hosts, CFP professionals, Archie Hoxton and Rob Hoxton. And today, we've got more Medicare content for you. We're going to be talking to Ben Bulgrien, a Medicare expert again. He's joined us again, and we're going to take a kind of a deeper dive on all the different types of plans that you can get in Medicare. We'll start with some high level, and then we'll just kind of go down from there. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, Ben is an expert in this topic and works with our great friends at Korhorn Financial Group out in the South Bend area. So we're really fortunate to have him here with us today.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us for a second time here, Ben.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I guess taking starting with the big picture, pretend I'm in the 5th grade and describe Origianl Medicare to me, if we start kind of with just the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. So Origianl Medicare, or Medicare as a whole, is made up of 4 parts. And the parts that we need to know about when we're talking about some of these other options a little bit later in this episode is Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. Now, if you were in the 5th grade, I would tell you, because I tell all my clients, why'd they name that? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But Medicare Part A is related to your hospitalization or inpatient treatment. And Medicare Part B is your treatment with doctors, medical, or outpatient. So that's kind of the foundation that we're going to be looking at when we're getting into some of the options a little bit later on. Medicare Part A and Part B. It also has Part D. I'm skipping C, but it'll make an appearance later. D is the one that makes sense because it is your drug coverage. Yeah. And so we're going to be finding that in maybe a couple different ways depending on what setup that our clients would be looking at. And then there's Medicare Part C, which is also known as Medicare replacement plans. And so that's going to be operating a little bit differently than A, B, and D. There's going to be some similarities with them, but that's the high level. It's going to give you the same services that A, B, and D would in most cases. It's just an all-in-one bundle plan. Whereas this other one, we're maybe picking and choosing a couple different policies to help supplement our coverage.
Yeah. And so, as far as when people approach the big decisions with Medicare, normally they're thinking, okay, do I want to go with the Origianl Medicare A, B, and D, and maybe a supplemental plan to go with it? Or do I want to go Part C or the Medicare Advantage and go, but it's a huge decision choosing between these because they're different and they have different costs and different, coverage levels and sort of, well, I'll let you kind of explain a little bit into the difference between going with either of those routes.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. This is a huge decision because, and we'll start with something that I usually even get at the end of my presentation to get the shock factor. Like, wow, nobody's really shocked when we're talking about Medicare. People don't usually come in like excited about it, but we try to have as much fun as we possibly can. So with the decision, we talked about Medicare with a supplement, and we talked about Medicare Advantage plans or Part C. When you first sign up, you can choose either side. No questions asked. You're saying, yep, I've had a qualifying health plan if I've been working past 65 or I'm just turning 65, and so I can choose whatever I want. If you choose a Medicare supplement with a prescription drug plan, you can always switch to a Medicare Advantage plan down the line. No problems. They're happy to have you. But if you're on a Medicare Advantage plan, you have 1 year. All plans have a 1-year trial period once in your lifetime. And if you decide to go with a Medicare Advantage plan, and then after a year of having it, 366 days later, you want to switch over to Medicare Supplement, in order to do that, you need to pass medical underwriting, which is not impossible, but it's not a guarantee. And so that's something that we like to stress with our clients when we're talking about this being a huge medical decision. We want to get that point across that, yep. And in my view of it, I don't think that one is better than the other one. I think it's going to come down to somebody's unique situation, which is going to be their health, their finances, and their risk appetite. We'll talk about why that plays into the decision a little bit. But if you go in expecting to be able to jump over one side or the other one, that's when we're going to be making some potential decisions that we might regret down the line.
Yeah. So there's potentially an element of permanence to your decision,
right?
If you go the Advantage route and then develop a health condition that prevents you from, passing underwriting. Wow. Yeah. So what are some of the key decision factors? If let's say you're 65, you're looking to enroll in Medicare, and you don't know what you're looking at, and you have no idea, where do I even begin? Why would I choose Advantage over Supplement? Why would I choose the Supplement over Advantage? What are the kind of the key decision factors?
So I like to talk about that decision in trade-offs as well. Because like I said, I don't think one's better than the other one. It's going to come down to your unique situation. But a couple factors that are going to weigh pretty heavily. With the Medicare Supplement route, you get what we refer to as the full freedom of Medicare. And what that translates to is if you want to get some type of procedure done, the only question that you need to ask your provider is, do you bill Medicare? And the answer 97% of the time is yes. So you get some flexibility on the provider that you want to see for the treatment that you're after. The other part is that anybody that's had employer coverage or coverage through a marketplace or anything like that, you may be familiar with something called prior authorization, where you had some type of procedure that you needed to get done, and then the insurance company comes in and they say, well, actually, you don't meet whatever our guidelines are for somebody that really, really needs to have this procedure done. With a Medicare Supplement policy, you bypass a portion of that at least, because now it's Medicare says that I can get this done. My provider bills Medicare. My coverage is Medicare, and so I can get it done. Which is a big plus for a lot of people to just be able to say, hey, I've dealt with this my entire life. I had one person I was talking to just this week where they said that they were on a plan that made them wait for a year before they could get the treatment done because of that prior authorization piece. So there's a lot of weight given to that. Now, the trade-off involved in that is you're, in most cases, going to be looking at a higher monthly premium. So a higher cost to get that flexibility, which makes sense. You're transferring some of the risk off of yourself and onto that insurance company. That's going to be a factor as well. When we're talking about the Medicare Advantage plans, I'll start with the monthly cost. We're talking about, well, in most cases, it's going to be a $0 premium. And that's where those TV commercials, emails, phone calls, mailers, all that kind of stuff comes in, where they say, hey, look at this plan. It's amazing. It's $0 a month. So you have some potential for savings, but what they don't talk about, and this is what I wish that they had a little bit more transparency on, is, well, now we're getting back into co-pays for when you go and get a service done. You're going to have co-insurance for whatever the cost of the procedure is. You're going to have a max out of pocket. And the max out of pocket is going to be, well, worst case scenario, if you have $100,000 worth of bill, $200,000 north of that, then for covered services, the most that you're going to pay is whatever that plan's max out of pocket is for the year. You're also limited to a network of doctors. Again, similar to what employer coverage, like what my employer coverage through Korhorn Financial Group has, is that, well, I'm going to see the doctors that are in my plan's network. I'm going to pay when I go and see them unless it's preventive care. But one of the benefits of Medicare Advantage plans over employer coverage, which is going to look similar, they're going to look similar to each other, is that most of those plans have a $0 deductible. And so they're going to help pay for services on day one, but there's still going to be some costs associated with that. And on the supplement side, depending on the supplement that you would choose, you may not have to deal with co-pays or co-insurance at all. So a couple different factors. One final one that I'll mention for Medicare Advantage, at least at this point, is that we're talking about additional coverage for dental, for vision, for hearing, some over-the-counter benefits that you can use for vitamins, supplements, Band-Aids, stuff like that, and then a gym membership in most cases that are additional benefits that are not found on the supplement side, but we talk about it like it's a cherry on top. Because ultimately what we're doing, we're making a medical decision, and we want to make the best medical decision that we can with the information that we have available today. And then if we decide Medicare Advantage is the route, then that's great. We want to use those benefits as much as we can.
Yeah. Wow, that's huge. So there's so much that goes into that. So there's the cost, there's the sort of the long-term outlook that you need to have, as far as, trying to say, okay, well, what am I willing to lock myself into something? What about, one thing I hear a lot about is network. Cause you mentioned with supplement, it's, do you bill Medicare? What does that look like on the Advantage side? Is there, talk to that a little bit.
There are going to be and this is if you're working on one of these plans, there's going to be 3 main options available within those Medicare Advantage plans for the type of network that you could be on. There's going to be an HMO, a health maintenance organization, an HMO POS, health maintenance organization point of service, or a PPO, a preferred provider organization. And the PPOs, they're going to have more expansive plan networks. So you have more options for doctors that you want to see. You don't have to do referrals in order to see specialists. And in exchange for that, you're probably going to have higher copays, higher co-insurances, and a higher max out of pocket. Whereas on the HMO, the other side of things, it's a more restrictive plan network. You need referrals to see specialists, and you're going to have lower copays, lower co-insurances, lower max out of pockets. One of the things that we're starting to see is that some of these Medicare Advantage plans are moving to what they refer to as open network PPOs, where they're saying, well, as long as a provider will bill Medicare, then you can go there at in-network rates, which is a great enhancement, but it's still based on that provider being willing and able to bill that insurance company specifically. And so some providers will say, no, we can't do that, or no, we won't do that. And so there's still some things that we need to work around. Ultimately, you'd want to make sure when you're going in and you're saying, hey, I want to get onto a Medicare Advantage plan, you're going to want to have a list of your doctors, and we're going to want to verify that your doctors are within whatever plan network that we decide, or at least as many of them as possible.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a great idea. It's just when you make this decision, having a really comprehensive list of what you need now and what you may need. So, and we're running a little short on time here, but I want to make sure we talk about this because within the supplemental world, there's more letters, so more opportunity for confusion and complication. But can you walk us through how that's broken down and maybe describe a couple of the more popular supplemental plans?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly like you said, there are way too many letters, and we're getting back to the, well, why'd they do that? I don't know. But there are A through N. A is the foundation. So we're talking about Medicare Part A, and then we're also talking about on the supplement side, Medicare Plan A. Even more confusing, why'd they duplicate it? Medicare Plan A is the basis. So all of the other Medicare supplement plans have at least as much coverage as Plan A is, or more. And in most cases, it's more. The most popular plan right now is Medicare Supplement Plan G. And it's the most popular. It's the one that we talk about with our clients because for the first thing, 10 Medicare supplement plans, that's too many. And so we want to simplify this. It's a big decision. We want to simplify it as much as possible.
Right.
It's going to cover the gaps in Origianl Medicare for what your costs would be. So they're also referred to as Medigap policies. It covers all the gaps except for the Part B deductible. And for this year, that's $240. And that's why we say, well, if we're talking about Medicare supplement, we want the flexibility, we want the ease. Well, we're looking at this one. The second most popular one is Plan F. It's no longer available as of January 1st of 2020, but some of your listeners may already be on it. The only difference between the two is that Plan F covers the $240 deductible.
Okay.
Only difference. And so when we're talking with people, I said, hey, my parents had Plan F and I really want to get on Plan F, we still have a really great option in Plan G. But those are the two most popular. G is the one that we write the most of here at KFG.
Yeah. So we're running really short on time here, and thanks for kind of navigating that a little bit. I would say maybe one last thing to sign off. There's a ton here. I mean, there's so many different considerations. What do you recommend to someone who is completely bewildered by them? What do you recommend they do as a starting point when they're getting into this decision?
So if you're working with a trusted financial planner or a trusted financial professional, talk with that. Make sure that this is a part of your comprehensive financial plan, because as we've talked about in this episode and previous episode, it's a big decision. It has a lot of financial implications. You want to make sure that you're prepared for that. Yeah. If you're not working with a financial professional, my recommendation would be to talk to an independent insurance agent so that they have a number of different companies that they can walk you through, do the hard work of not needing to go through that thick book that Medicare sends to you and line by line to try and understand what they're trying to say. So work with somebody that represents multiple insurance companies, and also talk with somebody that represents both Medicare Supplement and Medicare Advantage, because there are some agents that only do one or the other. So as unbiased as information as you can get, and look for somebody that's going to be looking out for your best interests, and not necessarily just what that commission check is going to be on their end. Yeah,
that's great advice. Yeah, thanks for that, Ben. Well, that kind of wraps up today's conversation. Again, there's way, way, way more to this, and so Ben, if it's all right with you, I think we'll have to invite you back for a third.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah. But anyway, if you're enjoying this content, remember to like, subscribe, share with your family and friends. Leave us a comment with a question or an idea for an episode. And if you really have a specific question, feel free to give us a call or an email. The number is on the screen. And anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next time. You've been watching Last Paycheck, weekly wisdom to help you retire and stay that way. If you like this show, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Last Paycheck is available anywhere you get your podcasts.